Welcome back to the first video course about Microsoft Word. In the previous video, we saw how to format the characters of our file by using the commands on the group font that we find on the ribbon of the Home tab. While in this new video, we'll see how to format an entire paragraph using the commands in the group paragraph right next to the group font. Let's start by deleting all the font formatting that we have on this file so that we can see the paragraph formatting better. So let's select the entire text and click on Clear All Formatting. And as you can see, the text is back to no formatting beside the Word document that is still highlighted. So let's select it and go on no color. And now we can start seeing the new commands to format the paragraph. Let's start by these 4 commands right here that we can use to decide how to align our paragraphs. The one already selected is align left, which means that the paragraph is aligned to the left. Next to it, there's center, that is used to center the paragraph. Then we have align right, to align the paragraph to the right. And then we have justify, which makes the alignment to the right and to the left equal, so that we have even margins between the left and the right. So as you can see, the text is already aligned to the left. So let's select this second paragraph and click on center, and we can already see the difference between the second paragraph that it's aligned to the center with the rest of the text aligned to the left. So let's go to the third paragraph and align it to the right, and as you can see, it's different from the second paragraph and it's the opposite of the first. And then let's go to this paragraph and justify it. As you can see, the margins on the left are even with the margins on the right. So now that we've seen the 4 commands to align a paragraph, we can move on to the next command, which is the command to decide the spacing between the paragraphs. The spacing between the paragraphs are the space between one paragraph and the other. For example, this white line that we see, and we can modify it by making it bigger or smaller. We can find this command on the tab Layout on the group paragraph. As you can see, we have the command Spacing, and we have Before and After. With Before, we decide the space before the beginning of the paragraph that we chose, and After, it's the space after that same paragraph. Right now, the spacing before the paragraph is of 0 points, but we can either type in a number that we want, like this, and as you can see, the space between these 2 paragraphs increased, or we can click on these arrows and keep increasing the space between the paragraphs, or we can decrease it. For example, let's go to 24. And let's change the spacing after the paragraph. And let's make it bigger as well. So as you can see, the spacing is now 24 points before and 36 points after. And that means that the space before and after this one paragraph is bigger than the space between the other paragraphs, as you can see. Let's go now back to the Home tab and see the command line and paragraph spacing. This command is used to change the spacing in between the lines that make the paragraph. And as you can see, if we move over these numbers, we get a preview of the line spacing. Let's choose, for example, 2 points. And as you can see, the space between these lines is way bigger than the space between the lines of the other paragraphs. And if we go back on this command, we have line spacing options that opens this menu where we have the spacing options and the line spacing. So these 2 options are for the paragraph spacing, and this one is for the line spacing. Of course, we have a preview, like always, down here to see how the changes we make look like on the text. Here we can change the points just like we did before. Meanwhile, for the line spacing, we can choose between double, which is what we have right now here. We can choose single, which decreases the space between the lines. 1.5 lines. Then we have at least, exactly, and multiple. But we can also change the number right here and either increase or decrease the space. This is all for now from this menu, so let's click on OK. And as you can see, it applied all the changes that we made using that menu. And if we go back on this command, we can also remove the space before the paragraph or after the paragraph. Let's see now the next command, which is decrease indent and increase indent. These two commands are used to change the margins of a paragraph. For example, let's select this paragraph and click on increase indent, because as of right now, there's no indent to decrease. So let's go on increase. And as you can see, the whole paragraph moves to the right, and we can move it as many times as we want. But if we move it too much, we can go to increase indent. And as you can see, it moves back to the left. To see better the margins of the paragraph or of the entire text, we need to use these two rulers that if you don't have already on your page, you can go on search and look ruler. And as you can see, I already have it selected as show ruler, but you can either show it or hide it. Once the ruler is showing, we'll have these two arrows on the left and this other one on the right that show the margins of the paragraph that we have selected. By moving these arrows, we change the margins of the paragraph. If I move this one on the top, it's the first line indent, as you can see, and it moves the margins of the first line of the paragraph. If I move the one on the bottom, it moves the margins of the entire paragraph. And if I move the one on the right, it moves the right margins of the whole paragraph as well. Another way to change the margins of our text is by using the commands tab that we can find on the left side of our screen above the left ruler. Let's use, for example, this last phrase. I just use the commands Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V to copy and paste this line underneath the rest of the text. And let's now see the commands that I was talking about. As you can see, this is the command left tab, which we can use to change the left margin of a paragraph, a text, or even just a phrase. We can use it by going over the ruler that we have above our text and click on it. And as you can see, the same icon that we have here will appear on the ruler. And this means that we place the left tab right here. Let's see how that works by going at the beginning of this phrase and click tab on our keyboard. And as you can see, the whole phrase aligned with the left tab that we put on the ruler. Let's go now here on the left side of our screen and click on the left tab. And as you can see, the icon changed and we now have the center tab that we can place as well on the ruler by clicking on it. And we can do the same with the other tabs. As you can see, now we have the right tab. We go here and we place it on the right side of the ruler. And then we have other tabs that we're going to see later on. Just first, let's see how these two tabs that we placed on the ruler work. Right now, the whole phrase is aligned with the left tab. But if I go, for example, here and click tab again, as you can see, these 5 words are now aligned with the center tab. But if I go right before file and press tab again, of course, these 3 last words have now been aligned with the right tab, but also these two words on the center moved to be aligned with the center tab. As we saw before, we have other tabs here, like the decimal tab that we can place anywhere on a ruler. And as you can see, the last three words have moved to be aligned with this decimal tab because we have a comma right here. And that's what this tab is used for. For example, if we wanted to write like a number, with this decimal tab, we can align it with the comma. If we change the place of the comma, it will be aligned differently. For example, we can put it wherever we want and the alignment changes because it depends on where the comma is. And then we have the bar tab that we can also put anywhere. And as you can see, a bar immediately appears in our text right where we put the bar tab. You see, they are aligned. Let's align something again with the right tab. Now that we have something aligned with all the tabs that we put on a ruler, if you don't like the way you positions some tabs, you can always go on the ruler, click on them and move them wherever you like. And that works, of course, with all the tabs. And if we now go and start a new line underneath, the same tabulation will apply to the next line. So if I write hello and then click on tab, as you can see, it will align with the left tab as the line before. We can change all the commands that we saw, so the tab commands that we saw right here, but also the indent commands that we saw on this paragraph, by going right here on the options of the paragraph group. And in this menu, as you can see, we have the indentation commands, and as always, we have the preview right here. And we can also change the indentation of the first line. It can be none, it can be first line, and as you can see, the first line's left margin increases. Or we can go on hanging, and as you can see, the margin of the first line, the left margin of the first line decreases, and it makes it hang on the left side. And of course, we can change the number of the indentation however we like it. But from this menu, we can also go on tabs and change the tab stop position. Right now here we have nothing because the tabs that we had selected before are not on the paragraph that we have selected right here. So let's go on OK and click on this paragraph. And let's go back to tabs. And as you can see here now, we have all these numbers that represent all the various tabs that we made before. As you can see, this one is the left tab. This one is the center. Then we have the bar tab, the decimal tab, and the right tab. We can see which tab we are clicking on by looking at the selection right here because it changes as we click on the different number. And for each tab beside the bar tab, we can put a leader, which is like a sign or a character in between the tab space. As of right now, they're all set on none, as you can see, but we can click here and select these little dots, or we can select this dotted bar or this underscore bar. To select them, we have, of course, to click on the leader here and then click on set, because otherwise, if we don't click on set, as you can see, I had previously clicked on these dots, but I hadn't clicked on set, so it didn't save it. So if you want this, remember to click here and then click on set. And then if we click on OK, as you can see, all these characters appear in between the space between the tabs. Now that we've seen these options, let's go back to the group paragraph and see the command borders. For example, if we go on this paragraph and we go on this command, we can select a bottom border for the paragraph, a top border, a left one, a right one, no border at all borders, outside borders, or inside borders that are only visible for certain paragraphs and not for this one. Or we can go on border and shading, and here we have a series of options that we can select to decide which kind of border we want for our paragraph. As you can see, we have a preview like always. We can change the style of the lines that create the border. We can change the color, of course, and the width. Here on apply to, we can only apply it to a paragraph, not to the whole text. Then we can go to page border, and here we can decide to apply a border to the whole document, as you can see here on apply to, and we can change like before the style, the color, the width, and the art. As you can see, we have various options that you can choose and decide which one you like the most. And then we can choose basically the fill and the color inside the border. We can choose if we want a clear, solid, or choose a percentage that we want. And the shading options are only applied to the paragraph, not the whole text. So if we click on OK, as you can see, we have borders and a filler inside this paragraph, but we also have a border for the whole document. With the command right next to borders, which is shading, we can change the color of a paragraph. Like if we choose this paragraph and click on green, we changed the shading of this paragraph, but we can also change the shading of this one that we had selected by using the borders and shading command. So we go here and choose blue, for example. As you can see, we changed it without having to go back to this command. So this is all for borders and shading. We now still have to see 4 other commands. We have 3 different kinds of lists, and then we have the command sort, which basically is used to arrange a selection in alphabetical order. It can be useful if we have a list and we want to organize it in an alphabetical order. It's really easy. We just have to click on this command so that we don't have to do it manually. So let's move now to more useful commands, which are the 3 different types of lists. Let's see them by creating first a new text using the rand command. Let's go, for example, to this paragraph and click here on bullets. As you can see, this command creates a bullet list, and we can add anything to this bullet list by simply clicking enter. The first bullet point moved to the page before, but we can add as many as we want. And every time we click on enter, a new bullet point gets added to the list, as you can see. Right next to the bullet list, we have the numbering. Let's go, for example, to the next paragraph and click on it. And as you can see, it creates a new list, but this time, instead of having bullet points, we have numbers. And once again, each time we click on enter, a new number gets added to the list. If we want to create a bigger space between these 2 lists, we just go at the end of the first one and click enter 2 times. Because as you saw, I don't know if you noticed, let's go back. If we click enter just 1 time, it simply adds a new bullet point to the list, but if we click it a second time, it just creates a bigger space between the 2 lists. So let's go now to the third and last list, which is a multi-level list. Let's click on it. As you can see, we can choose different styles for this multi-level. Let's choose the most common one, which is the first one. Right now, it just added this whole paragraph to the previous list. But if we click here, we can click on restart numbering. And as you can see, it is now a separate list. Let's create a bigger space between the two, like we did before. And let's go back here and let's add more numbers to the list. As you can see right now, it's creating a normal numbering list, but we'll see in a moment how to make it a multi-level list. Let's create a little more numbers on it. And now let's move to the number 2 and click on tab. And as you can see, it created another level to the list. We can add how many levels we want. So if we go on the now number 2 and click tab again, it will just become a second point of the second level list. But if we click tab again, it will be the first point of a third level list. And of course, we can change it however we want. You see, we can create even 4 levels and more. Now we have 5, and we can go on. We have 6, 7, and so on. So basically, we can create how many levels we want inside a single list. We've now seen all the commands inside the group paragraph. So this is everything for the formatting of a paragraph. Thank you for watching the video. As always, I invite you to subscribe to the channel to support us, and I'll see you in the next video.